Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here and welcome to BBallBreakdown. I was watching a Cavaliers game recently and a weird feeling gripped me as I was watching J.R. Smith play with LeBron and Kyrie and Kevin Love. He actually was playing the right way in my opinion, and he was actually getting me to like the way he was playing as a spot-up shooter, catch and shoot, not forcing a lot of things with a little bit of that special shot making mixed in. So I went back and looked to see what was happening between the Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers and how he's changed his game and how this might mean something really positive for the Cavaliers going forward. Let's start out by looking at some comparisons between how J.R. Smith was generating shots in New York to start the season and more recently after the trade that sent him to Cleveland. With the Knicks, he ran the pick and roll most often and was pretty good, ranking in the 67th percentile. That said, many of his shots were often of a very difficult variety, partly because whomever was screening for him wasn't much of a threat and the defense could focus on taking away his penetration. Looking at his time with the Cavs, he's actually handling the ball in the pick and roll even more often, but with better offensive teammates. Look at the crazy jump to elite status. Notice the amount of movement the Cavs offense gets before running the pick and roll. And with markedly better talent on the offensive end, he has more room to create his shots. The biggest difference in JR's game, however, has been with the spot-up play. In New York, he'd get the ball kicked out to him on only 14.4% of his possessions, and had a difficult time scoring, again because of spacing issues caused by the Knicks' talent deficit. I believe J.R. Smith could be the best spot-up shooter in the league. And in Cleveland, he's getting them a whopping 30% of his possessions, and look at the improvement, up 38 ratings points and over 10% higher on his effective field goal percentage. In New York, players like Jose Calderon are just not threats to penetrate, which allowed the defense easier closeouts on him. Whereas in Cleveland, when you have Kyrie Irving penetrating and good ball movement, he gets shots he can make. Throw in a Kevin Love ball screen for Kyrie, and suddenly the defense chooses to help off of him in the corner. And when LeBron is playing, it's a whole other level of gravity and ball movement. When Cleveland gets their big three on the same side in some sort of action, it's almost unfair for the other team. The one category JR has suffered in since getting to Cleveland is isolation, where he was very good with the Knicks and has been well below average with the Cavaliers. While he's at 15% of his possessions in isolation, I imagine that number will continue to go down the more LeBron and Kyrie are out on the floor together, and that's terrific news for Cavaliers fans. Like we mentioned in the spot-up category, I believe J.R. Smith could be the best catch-and-shoot player in the league if he simply accepted his role and played like Kyle Korver. His mechanics are fantastic, and when he's in rhythm and not forcing shots, that jumper is beautiful to watch. Accordingly, look at his catch-and-shoot numbers since leaving New York. I am convinced this number will only go up from here, and it's already encouraging that he's gone from 31% of the time to almost 46% of his possessions without dribbling, just letting that jumper fly. The real key to this stat, however, is in the guarded versus unguarded catch-and-shoot category. Look at how many more unguarded shots he's getting now that Kyrie, Love, and LeBron are playing with him. In New York, he was taking 33.3% of his threes with a defender within 4 feet of him, while in Cleveland, he's only taking 23% of his threes with a defender that close. While he's not shooting nearly as well on those shots, I find it hard to believe that some of these shots will continue to miss if he's left this wide open. Another big benefit of playing with better players and more space in Cleveland is the amount of shots that get rebounded by his own teammates. In New York, only 17% of his missed threes were corralled by another Knick. But in Cleveland, over 32% of those missed threes are grabbed by a Cavalier, getting them crucial possessions that ultimately help win games. Seth Partnow dug up some other striking numbers for us. In New York, Smith took 31.1% of his threes off the dribble, while he's cut that to 24.8% in Cleveland. To make matters worse, 39% of those shots in New York had a defender within 4 feet, while he's reduced that number in Cleveland to 22.9%. Overall, 35.9% of his shots were threes with the Knicks, while he's increased that significantly to almost 67% of his shots now are from behind the arc. Making him into more of a spot-up shooter is a key to his success, and you can see how eliminating a lot of his off-the-dribble, closely defended shots instantly raises his effective field goal percentage almost 7 points. Throw in the fact that Smith has greatly reduced the number of inefficient mid-range shots from his game, and we have a reawakening of a powerful offensive player to a team that already had some serious fireworks to begin with. Interestingly, his net effect on the team when looking at his on-off numbers reveal that the team is actually worse offensively when he's out there and better on defense when he's in. Without question, this is a process that will eventually reverse those numbers, as I believe J.R. Smith is starting to lock into the role he was born for, a devastating catch-and-shoot player who can go off on any given night for 20 points and create the kind of spacing that LeBron needs to lead a devastating offensive attack on the NBA that could very well lead them to a spot in this year's NBA Finals.